I don't like to play favorites. I feel weird as a caster doing so.
Oh, you have to have favorites, though. It's the only way to live. Here we are, though. In the bottom left-hand corner, it is the Teal Protoss, pardon me, Teal Terran, Beastyqt.
And his opponent spawning in the top right from Clad M. It is our red Terran, Jason.
Opening up like last game, they're pretty darn similar. So far, all the games today have been incredibly even.
Yeah, we've had some really good games from our players. Very impressive. I know that game versus Beastyqt and Jason in the last series, or excuse me, in the last game, it was close for a while. So I'm excited to see where this game is going to head. One interesting note that as we look at the barracks for Jason here, it looks like he's got the setup so he can put a reactor down. What do you make of that, DrennoC?
Every once in a while, we have seen double Reaper play out of that, but that's much more akin to a defensive bio play, which, you know, obviously with those reactors, you're going to be pumping Marines, but we see that a lot, and easily if your opponent sends the Reaper over, you can just shut it down. It's not too hard to kill it unless they can get a steamroll with an early KD8 charge. You can secure it, and with that, you can go into Hellion, you can go into something else, but you're just providing yourself a lot more opportunities and simple opportunities to get into that. But for Beastyqt, you really got to realize the same thing on a map like Dust Towers, that Jason may have that area to throw down a reactor, but Beastyqt can throw down the reactor without moving his racks. So either way, just to be even, you have to throw the racks like that.
So again, very similar openers as last game. We have the Reapers coming out, we have command centers being put down, no rail shenanigans. We have a second Reaper from Jason, however, Beastyqt has opted for a quicker Marine in this case.
Factory also is just slightly quicker for Beastyqt, but shouldn't be too big of an issue right here. With that second Marine instead of an extra early Reaper for Beastyqt, it does have a little bit extra gas, and saying so far the game so far, Mirror or not, have been so dang incredibly even. Neither player's really been able to take leads too far into the early game or mid game, and it's happened in those macro stages.
Yeah, looks like there goes our reactor. So far, you know, pretty similar, just as you said. Looks like we've got that second, or excuse me, that third command center from Jason. Again, very much like last game. Got the quicker starport is the tech of choice for Beastyqt.
Oh, but this time for Beastyqt, you gotta remember last game, he was the one to go CC a little bit quicker, that third CC, so he is changing up to slightly. Ooh, a nice KD8 charge just throws the Marine off. I love the Marine's little animation when he's thrown into the air. He's got this jump. Reaper of Beastyqt may be able to kill one of the Reapers of Jason, but for now, he's mentioning a little bit more aggressive from Beastyqt. He knows last game, you know what? You beat me in the long end game. You beat me in that macro game. I'm not going to play in the macro game then. I'm going to stop you now, and wow, my, we may be able to see a Banshee coming out of that starport.
That starport is definitely landing on that tech lab. Will we see Cloak being researched soon? Will we see a Banshee come out? Yes, we do. Oh, but you know what? Jason, with that Reaper Scout, he sees that starport. He sees that it's got a tech lab. He can start to prepare for this, and indeed, an eBay does go down.
Not only an eBay for Jason, but also he has a Cyclone on the way, which is coming much more common to be able to push back those air units, whether it be Warp Prism or a Viking or even another Cyclone. Cyclones are pretty dang helpful for. That should be good for Jason. Should be very well defended, especially with the third CC. This may completely shut down Beastyqt's want of being more aggressive, but he's also making the third CC off the back of this, and really, we're seeing what everyone thought would happen to Legacy of the Void. The much longer macro, almost completely stable macro games happen.
Yeah, this Banshee, it might get a little bit of scouting. Probably not going to kill much. I mean, there's a lot of defense here. We've got turrets going up in place now. We've got a Viking, you know, we've got a Cyclone. Jason is definitely ready for this, and it's, you know, unless something crazy happens, it probably won't do too much.
Banshee on the left-hand side, while second Banshee is on the way. Cloak is only a few seconds away. There's a missile turret, as you were saying, with the Cyclone, with the Viking. This should be completely good for Jason to defend, and he should be able to adequately shut that down quickly. Marines are also in the natural base of Jason, so he's overly defended.
So do you think, you know, because everything seems to, every little mineral, every little gas seems to matter in these games, do you think that Banshee really put him behind it all?
I don't think overall you can see that Beastyqt is a slightly quicker third and fourth gas, while Jason was neglecting to get his for a while. So overall, I think it's pretty dang evened out. But Jason is, of course, in this game a little bit more quicker on the economy, but my oh my, these players are just playing so dang similar. There's not too many differences. Yes, of course, with the Banshee, but economically and overall, they're very passive, not super aggressive, kind of doing their own thing. And now we're going to start to see that little throwing Marines out here and there, but Dusk Towers does, of course, have the slight choke point in the middle of the map where, majority of the time, the Marines, you can hang them out right there and get a very good knack of what's going on. 2 sensor tower, at least double sensor towers, common at Orbital Shipyard. Don't see why it wouldn't be common on Dusk Towers as well.
Looks like we do have a bit of a drop now, though, coming out of Beastyqt. He is getting slightly more aggressive. He could do some damage with this, but if Jason gets wind of this, he could easily defend it. However, it looks like Beastyqt will be going around the Marines, but there is a Viking kind of patrolling too, so it could get caught.
These Marines in the middle of the map for Jason are so important to spot siege tank, tank evac, leapfrogging across the map, but sadly they will not see this drop. One Viking at least will provide a little bit of an annoyance to the main force. Looks like the Marines are going to be able to clean that up. Siege tanks of Beastyqt get into a perfect position here. Jason's in third base position. He's not going to be mining for a while. Looks like there's going to be enough here combined with the Cyclone to be able to push these siege tanks and the medevacs back in. Oh man, Beastyqt may be able to lose, or may lose all these siege tank SCVs are being pulled right on top of it, and it's going to get shut down. That entire attack is pushed back, and Jason, my oh my, he's honestly, he's proven Beastyqt wrong. I thought Beastyqt was the better player here, but he's completely pushing it back.
Yeah, Jason, really impressive there. Managed to hold with not too many losses. The Banshee tries to get a little bit of harass done behind this, but it just doesn't work.
By the way, I love how chat is saying you're attractive visually. Let's do it this way. You're attracted only visually, though. Attractive only visually, nothing extra. The RSL chat. There's a lot of chats that are fun.
I'm attractive in every way possible.
I'm trying to remember which chat it was I was casting in. I think it may have been ASL chat, where the people trolling in chat, the ASL chat like pushed down. Like the chat itself was good. They were like their own mods. They're like, no, get out of here. We don't want you here. Like, or anyone being nice, they'll be like, this is awesome. Like, this is one of the best chats I've ever seen. Oh man, Jason's gonna have to pull back. He's being a little bit too aggressive. But there's a drop in the natural of Jason. Beastyqt, a little bit of drop. There's 2 million Marines ready, but Jason, he's simply sealed airtight. Beastyqt can't touch him.
Yeah, that was pretty well cleaned up. Not too many losses again from Jason. He's doing a pretty good job here on the defense. However, both players still about even. Even with some of the losses that Beastyqt had earlier, he still managed to come back, and he is definitely not out.
Definitely he is not out, but he's still in a precarious position where he could easily fall one way or the other. So both players very even economically. Beastyqt does have a very slight lead with a couple extra workers and mules, but we're going to see the armies meet in the middle of the map. It looks like Beastyqt is slightly farther up. Siege tanks and Jason get themselves in a beautiful position where Beastyqt can't stem up and stop them. And it's one of the times in the map where the reason why he's sending out all those little Marines is developing a cool new meta, but it's for exactly that. I need to be able to see where you are before, because one slight misstep, I lose all my siege tanks.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, we saw that last game. Just one little thing can really turn the tide of this game. Here we go, though. It looks like Beastyqt moving out. Jason, though, he sees this, he puts down a scan. He wants to make sure he gets in a good position, because as we were just talking about, positioning here is everything.
Especially with it being a big choke point in the middle and that little hole in the ground that he kind of got to move around. Not too many Vikings with the main force. Majority of them are back at home, but easily a Viking in the middle of the map on Dusk Towers can hold that dead space that's right there and start to push back siege tanks, deny medevac pushes or tank evac pushes, but now looks like Beastyqt going on the right-hand side, Jason on the left, both players scanning each other, trying to make sure they know exactly what's happening. But for now, Jason trying to get rid of those rocks, wants to get a nice angle on that little high ground island, but looks like the armies are going to engage.
Jason, he pushes forward, and his tanks, they're in a pretty good position. It looks like at this moment Jason has more tanks and more bio for Jason. Rushes forward. Doesn't get any medevacs picked off there, but does a really good job in lowering the amount of army that Beastyqt has. The army supply is now 73 to 51. Beastyqt, you know, he's not out yet, but that was a pretty big blow.
Beastyqt was not reinforcing while that happened, and it was a little bit more onto the side of Jason. He had reinforcements ready. And with that blow, as I was mentioning, a lot of these games tonight have just been slight edges here and there, have started to multiply and grow incredibly large over the course of a game. Jason taking his fourth. Beastyqt has had a fourth for a while, but it's in a much more precarious position where the sensor tower is not quite on top of it. Oh, one siege tank goes down. A couple random Marines of Beastyqt also going down, but now Jason dominating map and economically overall in the game.
Yeah, Jason, you know, he's getting some scans out. He's seeing his opponent's position. He doesn't want to commit into something that might turn out poorly for him. Because at this point, you know, as we've said many times, bad positioning can cost you the game.
Extra sensor tower thrown down by Beastyqt to know exactly what's happening to Jason. And with this, it's not, I mean, it's pretty much denying any vision or attacking the top left-hand position, but there is some small slivers where he can make that happen. Beastyqt, though, is very, I don't even want to say he's passive because he has tried to move out, but he's very careful with how he moves out. He's very surgical about it, trying to make sure he knows what happens. Jason looks like he's trying to leapfrog forward, but there's just so many scans at this point. I don't think he's going to be able to, either of them, push forward.
Yeah, both players are really getting a good idea of where each other are, and, you know, this is a really tough position for a Terran player to be in. You know, one bad positioning, one bad siege tank drop, and you're dead.
Also, just planetary fortresses for both players, a little bit easier to defend for Beastyqt, because Jason, I mean, with these scans, the high ground is good. Beastyqt, he's going to have the tanks down first, but both scans are on each side, or at least have the shots down first. Tanks of Jason are a little bit heavier in number, but Jason's firing from the low ground. Beastyqt does have the high ground in this position, which is going to make it great. The siege tanks much easier time defending with both players have a wall between them effectively with that high ground. Jason jumps up on top of it with defender's advantage. Looks like he's going to have a little bit more, but the siege tanks aren't going down, and Jason sacrificed the majority of his Marines in to take out, 2 out of the 4 siege tanks. Beastyqt still has a strong foothold into this 4th base.
Yeah, that was looking a bit tough. Those Marines, did Jason have the high ground vision at the end of that? Because those Marines were, you know, looking like maybe a little bit of that was lost.
Beastyqt does have an upgrade advantage. Once the next upgrades start to kick in just a little bit, he's going to have a phenomenal way to do that, but he's lost the majority of his army. He's got a couple siege tanks, some Marines back at home, but there's the GGs eventually able to starve out Jason. It is now 1-1 in the most long bio games I've seen. The most long tank evac games. That
was a really smart idea from Beastyqt to utilize that, you know, that cliff above the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that maybe taking the further 4th would have been a better idea for Jason, or do you think at that point it's just, you know, it's not something you would really consider?
I would definitely consider taking that other 4th base on either side of the map, no matter what, and I guess it was going through Jason's